Okay, I'm recording and just trying to get the picture right. I'm going to advertise this to a few people. And
88 outside.
it's 88 outside here in, what do you call us?
Cincinnati.
Okay. So let's see if this is working.
I saw it post, yeah.
It's got a big delay. I don't hear any of the sound yet. Anyway, there it is. I heard you too. Kathy's not in the picture, but she's sitting right here on the couch.
Yes, I am.
Well, look at that.
What?
They finally fixed it. And I can actually, with something in my system fixed, that I could actually post. The screen is not too small
Go ahead.
from YouTube to Facebook. Okay. So nobody in the chat yet. We got 4 individuals watching. So if you're somebody new to this, I just take the time to, send it to my Facebook account, which is Sawyer Heavens Gate.
8 men have more money than 4 billion people combined. A single mom on food stamps isn't the reason you're broke.
Yeah, I know. We're in this
Or
wealthy country.
that immigrant in the field, that illegal in the field isn't the reason you're broke.
And
Even that illegal being put up in a hotel isn't the reason we're broke.
no, that's true too. I believe that. I could sing the credit card blues pretty well.
We can.
It is the credit card blues.
By Trash Mountain.
Yeah, Trash Mountain, Trash Mountain.
He
He lives
knows
by
about
Trash
that life.
Mountain.
He had a life and trash.
Yeah, this is normally just a party song, live stream. Let's see. I don't know if you all can see my screens. This might be too small. But what I've posted there is, I didn't get that right yet. I still got to do something with the chat. One more minute. Pop it out. Make it smaller. And put it to screen.
Put up the screen.
So I'm going to just read from it so that, because I've organized it that way. So Sawyer's very rough notes from listening to Doe's audio 267, recorded over 4 telephone calls over 4 days.
Very, very good.
And the first day was on September 23rd, 1987. And I was present in the room.
I was not.
But we can be present now. And that means that his face is still showing us. While his face is still showing. I think I associate that with a prophecy somewhere in Revelation 6, I think. But, and so the subject of that first part of this recording was mind evolution, and referring to Adam's mind diluted through offspring. And the next subject that's talked about throughout is ministering to the sinners, what that means. And it does, it's is using religious terminology because that was the change he was going through with trying to figure out who, if anybody, his older member T would have him share the information with. And that he would want to share the information with as well for their sakes. And so if you haven't been to this site before, it's not really religious terminology, but now it's a mixture. It's got to remain a mixture because the history is in that religious material of relationship of the next level above human, also known as the kingdom of God in my understanding and my belief, and feel like I know. Ministering to the sinners is that's what the next level is doing with all those who are potentially coming up. They're the sinners. The sinners are the individuals that have, generally speaking, a lot of force, and they are the biggest target of the lower forces. And so they, because the lower forces, Lucifer and the fallen angel souls that, sided with him at the next level, restricted to the earth and near space around it, they want to keep people away from learning about the evolutionary level above human, because they'd rather keep us religious or thinking that we're the members of the next level are just another space race when they're above race because they're above the human kingdom. And they demonstrate that throughout all their teachings in hundreds of ways, thousands of ways at times. I mean, the same basic ideas, but said in different ways, many different ways, and with a changing capacity of of looking at things in a better and better way, more and more accurate way. That's what people see if they listen to the audio tapes. That's one of the many things they can see in the audio tapes. Um, and we are, to use, any terms you want to use, religious or just joyfulness, is the fact that we have these audio tapes. Because the way things are going, you never can tell. But I think the next level is going to see to it that we have them for as long as we need to have them. So I'm not afraid of that. Because they're running the show.
I trust them.
Yes, we trust them. We know that no harm can come to any of us when we want to be in their service, when we want to learn from their minds and all that, entails. They've got their eyes on anybody. Not it doesn't you don't have to be a former student. And many people are reaching out. I'm sure of it that there's many that are reaching out. And part of this broadcast was talking about seeing that 144,000 number, which he didn't feel was not, it wasn't, it didn't have to be accurate for him to use it as a reference to the individuals, or it could have been accurate. He said, he didn't know for sure if it was accurate. And it was good to hear that because I've been saying that for a long time because of what he said when I was listening to him in person. And so I always love hearing those things for that reason as well, because it's like having a check partner. So that the things you're saying to other people they said aren't just like a fabrication of my mind, which is always going to have a little bit of a fabrication of my mind because uh, there's no way around that. That's the way it works. Because all minds aren't the same, and I'm certainly not in the league of my older member's mind. He's not like a fellow student. He's an older member because you know that he knows things. I don't know how I can describe it really. Because, all the lower forces want to do is make it sound like it's the same brainwashing that happens throughout the whole human condition. Because they think that's all normal. See, we're so brainwashed that we think it's normal to be in our condition of, even though raising families, and I'm not talking about abandoning families, but that's all part of the human condition. And that started with this experiment with the religious literature that talks about the Adam and Eve story. And Doe addresses that in this tape, or one of these phone calls that he calls in to one part of the student body, or the church. And the church, in his thinking at that time of what church was the body of believers. And that the students of his and T's were the body of believers that were planned to be there because they came back from their previous experience in a previous incarnation, and that they were saved. They had grown enough in that time, 2,000 years ago or so, that that they're soul bodies, they're spirits, but actually, really, soul bodies were saved for a future opportunity, and it was planned on they would come back, and they planned ahead with the next level's help, is the way that Tiendo described it, that you would decide it for yourself which vehicle you were going to uh, uh, take over, try to take over. And because the vehicles were designed, well, no, the whole the way that the evolution was taking place, the directed evolution, next level directed evolution is taking place. The creators of this planet and the human kingdom on it are a part of an experiment. I'm not going to go into all that, but anyway, so that the way they design it is that the vehicles are growing, even just taking it from the civilization that we're in, which is the one that's most relevant right now to this conversation, and that is the Adam depicted by the Adam and Eve story. The reason why that's not just a falsified story somewhere is because the next level wants us, the populace, to grow to understand what was going on with that story in reality, in a scientific reality, in a completely generic terminology way of thinking. And because that's what it is. Because we don't know the technologies that are used, but the technologies are used. The idea that there's no technology is another one of those Luciferian traps, like in the kingdom of God. Not to think of them that way. As they're floating on clouds and playing harps, right? These images that were given that, I mean, a lot of people see through it early on, and that's good. It's designed to be seen through. Part of the evolution of the society is seeing through the false depictions of the realities that are depicted within record books. Uh, um, so, so the thing with Adam and Eve was that because Adam wasn't satisfied with just looking to his older member's mind, and he desired to have a helpmate, um, the next level decided to split him in half as male and female. And subject them to, which they were already subject to, but doesn't seem like Adam knew it at the time, subject to the lower forces, Lucifer and depicted as the reptilian, the serpent, is influencing them because the next level knows that they will try to influence anybody that can be of assistance to them in their own agenda of taking over this planet and not being restricted anymore, which they restrict. They resent having that restriction. And so they're in competition with the next level. And since they did that, and then we're given many opportunities to change by the next level. And there's a lot of evidence to these things that I'm saying. I'm not just telling you a story. But I can't focus on all the evidence, and I'll never get through the story. But so they were subject to that test of whether they were going to separate from their older member in the way of looking to anything else. Because the next level's objective is to subject other members of the next level that were of some equivalence in their growth with many other young members in the next level that were given tasks to do elementary tasks, and or on that same level with the Lucifer and his fellow fallen angel souls. Okay, so they were all given the opportunity to come to the earth to have this experience of being subject to the ones that fell away, so that they could correct that, so that they wouldn't even let somebody get that far into membership and still be able to fall away, even though they always have the option to fall away. That's just the way the next level is. It's always your choice to leave the group, and that was evidenced through 19 years with Tiando's group that I'm a witness to. You know, I'm not fooling around with that. I'm not trying to appear to be a big shot or anything or get myself in trouble, but I know this stuff is true. This stuff, I shouldn't trivialize it that way. But this information from Tiando's minds is pure information, even though it's coming through individuals that know that they are not as pure as they know they can be, because that's the way next level members think. And you'll see that demonstrated throughout they're not full of themselves. They just want to be full of their older members' mind. And that's synonymous with being in love with. That's why the next level requires all your love to go to your older members. And that's put to the test when an older member is incarnate, because that's what they require of their students. And that's why it looks like such a, to all the lower forces that were subject to the diminishment of mind quality since Adam, because that's what happened whenever they started to propagate and have children. They were giving some of their mind to their own mind, which mind equates to knowledge, information, choices, experience. Actually, is probably the best word for it. It's living experiential experience, not experience from reading about something. Even though reading can be, plenty of experience, and you can experience what the experiencer is experiencing in the process, I imagine. But but so the older members, anyway, I'm getting off the track. What I want to get to is that when reproducing wasn't just, it's not just an experience of the amount of biological effort that it takes to birth children and raise children. Uh, uh, that takes a toll on the vehicles. That's a natural toll to take. But there's also a toll that's taken on the mind, because some of that person's mind, that is the mother or the father, and I think all the other influences on those children all have a part in that, in the formation of their mind. And they're drawing from all that. Okay? And but then the person that had the children, loses that proportionate amount of mind in having those children. And so what that does is it diminishes their common sense. It diminishes their consideration of ideas that might be true. Even being afraid of looking at things that might be, which the Heaven's Gate story is very much like that, right? Because it's been forced on the media, not in a bad way, but this is an example of how the next level loves the human kingdom by telling you exactly what they're going to be made to be seen as by the lower forces, and allowing you to believe that if you want. Because what that does is, as people in their lives are faced with all kinds of difficulties, and they start asking for help, and they don't get too particular about the direction they're asking for, and they start asking the highest source they can imagine in the universe in some way that created this planet and the life forms on it, whatever their thoughts are about all that, then the next level has ways of showering those individuals with their mind. And they can even be directly, talking to showering that mind on particular individuals, if that's part of the task. Because their mind is everything that they would hope that we would want to reach for from their minds, and then helping us let go of the human kingdom. And that doesn't mean by committing suicide. No, because we're the position we have, that T and Do have, and the crew have, is they had a strong position against suicide, and you can see it right on the Heaven's Gate website, like the fourth bullet down. And I suggest that people who want to understand it read it. It's not ambiguous. I understand that it's hard to understand, because I went through a period of time to where it was hard for me to understand in the way that I knew it was true. I just knew that. And I even knew it by my own experience. In addition to knowing that Tiando's teachings meant that they were going to be leaving the planet, preferably with their bodies, right from the beginning. Even in this tape, you can see Do talking about even people that were recipients of their information, when they were giving it out, could be from that 144,000 from even people that were present after Jesus left, for example, for who knows how long, that received enough of his mind, of the mind of Jesus, what they call in the literature the Holy Spirit, but it's actually the mind of them, their consciousness, their their force, their what they're a part of. That's the biggest part, and they're part of knowing everything that we could dream about knowing. People that know all those things in different departments, whether it's in nuclear fission or uh, guppies and swimming in the ponds. But that's all laboratories on planets that can be as big, that can be spacecrafts themselves of some sort. Like Do talked about T and Do talked about in the movie script they wrote. Anyway, uh, so getting off, getting into more overview, I think is a good thing to do, but I get too much into it sometimes. So I want to get back to what I'm trying to get at, which is that we're, so that every time there was a new birth throughout the civilization of the last 6,000 years or whatever it was, um, that mind has been diminished and diminished and diminished and diminished and diminished, and it was replaced by the thinking, behaviors, and ways of those that were called the Luciferian, space alien, fallen angel souls. That's the way I call them. I just put them one big string of identities that throughout our record books. So, who, by the way, are using hybridized human vehicles from the egg and sperm that they take when they abduct people, and implant people, and then keep up with them, and birth their babies, and they're all trying to experiment with growing better and better vehicles that then those souls can take over in addition to the other vehicles that they take over. And that's the formula for the vehicles, is that they all get taken over, and that they have to choose to not be taken over anymore
80
if they expect to be in the level above human, where they don't take over your mind. In fact, it's the opposite in the next level above human. You have to ask for their mind before they're going to give it to us. So pretty much everything in the documentaries that didn't come from T and Do's mouth, and I think I can, I have to include myself in there as best I could at the time. And I want to include the things that Carl Odie said in documentaries. And Juan Odie, if he's, I don't know if he's in any of them, but, uh, um, you know, or our best attempts at being truthful about what we experienced and received from the next level. And Juan Odie's doing his thing in the in Venezuela, and he keeps on producing all kinds of new things, you know, that he posts in different places. Is it WhatsApp or TikTok or I need to go look at them sometime. Oh, maybe it's that other one, Instagram. Maybe I think. I think he's done well YouTube. He's done some stuff on YouTube that you know I've been serving as a check partner for him, and he always sends me his product that he wants to put up. So let's see. Did I get to where I wanted to go on that story? I don't think I did yet, but I'm kind of losing track of where I was. I'm talking about the offspring that has been diminishing to the degree that um,
That went right in your shoe.
did it?
Yes.
Oh my gosh! I'm gonna step on that, and it's gonna. No, anyway. Uh, well, to the degree that we can see kind of both ideas um, existing simultaneously to degrees, and one is the one that more people are talking about in a practical way, and that is to where um, we become incapable of comprehending everything T and O are describing in their reality, because we keep on losing mind, because we're also losing mind the more we take in other mind. Yeah, Satan's mind. And that's by behaviors and ways as well. We're losing mind from the next level that those souls once had. So, like Jesus talked about it as if you don't use it, you lose it. And that those who have more uh, um, have, I think, harder tests um, because they need that in order to um, generate the force of continuing to want to be in service instead of dealing with what the next level provides us with opportunities to be a conduit for their minds. That's what it would be as a student right now, talking to anybody that's listening to this, can choose to be a student if the next level allows them to. Because it's up to the next level to decide who they're going to draw to them or not. Um, and it can happen automatically for people that they're searching more. It can be simple as that. They want to know more than they're questioning things. Maybe the rug dropped out from under them. Difficulties. Although I'm not someone that wants them, uh, except in a theoretical way, that I know that there's something to be gained by dealing with difficulties. So I'm glad for them, and they are, from the next level's point of view, they are medicine to the human kingdom. And so, but the other side of the coin is that the next level is still with us. I mean, so we're all in the state of a diminished capacity to understand. And to understand isn't just something that's uh, um, based on the way we think about it, but it's based on what we want to do. And what we do, do, right? I don't mean that in that stupid, crude way, primitive way, but so we're all potentially in the process of we're living in human vehicles, and one of the things that Lucifer can have against us is to make us feel like we're defeated if we're not giving our all, because we might mentally know what the all is, but we don't have the willpower or the interest or uh, the drive to not leak it in this way or that way. Um, I mean, we're leaking it when we get angry. We're leaking it with sexuality. We're leaking it with, I mean, angry in a way that's, I'm not saying anger is a bad thing necessarily, but when we're angry at somebody else without a cause, is the way that Jesus put it. And I think that's, uh, well, Tiendo said that we could, everything that Jesus said in the red letter edition was kept accurate for the sake of us now, because they knew that generations and generations would be developing in the human kingdom to be given tasks, and then that extended to even the Moses task and the Enoch task and the Elijah task um, and those tasks didn't amount to actually learning how to graduate. The graduation requirements weren't within those tasks. They were working on other things that are related to it, identifying evil. That was Elijah's primary job among the people at that time, pointing out the strength of his older members. I don't doubt that they brought fire down on people. And you can say, what a cruel thing. But, we're the creation. We don't get to really claim that's like, I mean, I don't know what comparison that would be, but um, I mean, a human comparison would be, I guess, you know, comparing yourself to people that have the authority to tell you to give your life to them in the human kingdom, like the governments, and do whatever they give you to do and not question it. That's, terrible. That's dictatorial. And the military is designed that way, even though I'm not saying the people that necessarily act that way, because I believe there is an evolution taking place of mind. So I don't think history repeats itself in exactly the same ways, though those things are used to go against what one side doesn't want. But anyway, and not that it can't mutate into that, into being even worse than history. I'm not going to pretend to say that that couldn't happen. That would be ignorant on my part. I'm not in control of any of this. That's part of the point. I'm not in control of this stuff. So what are we in control of? Well, who we look to. Because it's not about talking to Jesus. Not anymore. Doesn't go over anymore with the next level, because it's a you don't people don't even know what they don't know about why Jesus gave the teachings that he gave. If they did, then they would recognize he and those information right from the start. They would have some kind of recognition of it. And it might be just a curiosity in that guide, though, on those exit videos that were difficult to hear for me. But I knew that it was true. And so I decided, okay, just take a break and listen to more later. And when I did that, I recognized that I came back in a stronger place of knowing how true it was. Because truth isn't just like one facet to it. No, truth has a lot of facets. Of course, there's a lot of different departments, right, where things can be truthful. The word truth really, in the next level's perspective, is real, is what's reality. They don't think about, there's no lies in the next level. So everything they say is truthful. But there are lies in the human kingdom because the lower forces lost sight of what the truth was, because they didn't want to be restricted to their older members' ways of doing things. And the next level saw that and said, okay, well, if you want to propagate with humans on the planet in whatever ways you're doing it, chemical or whatever, if they have the technology to do it with, like test tube babies, which I don't think they do, or they wouldn't have humans working on it. Well, and then again, the next level might have stimulated that. To be the first, the direct stimulation. There's the difference between what the next level directly stimulates and what they know that the space aliens are going to stimulate. With, technological advancements, I think is safe to say. Though I think the next level gives us the biggest ones, like electricity and things like that. Probably gives them all of them to us, because maybe they don't want, I'm just thinking about it now, whether I'm speaking accurately enough to what my older members might be thinking is more accurate, and that is that they don't want the lower forces to be teaching people, because there's more than just the ideas that come with teaching. And so the lower forces would have some of their mind, and even has that rebellion in it, I imagine. That desire to go against, think that they know better. That's what it is. That's what it really amounts to. It's like having an instruction to go to the mall and and buy a piece of clothing and come back and for this amount of money approximately and whatever and and you go to the mall and you buy a anything else but that. And you go back to your older member, and the older member says, "Well, why didn't you buy what I gave you to buy?" No, but I like using my mind to try to, my older members certainly wouldn't care if I bought this, you know, because look what I can do with this. That's, I mean, that's a stupid example maybe, but it's it's really kind of what got Adam into trouble, but that he recovered from, by the way, and became the mind that had grown through all these experiences that we know now as Doe. And he didn't come to that on his own. He came to that understanding, regardless of how much he felt it, maybe at times in his growing up years, depending on how he might respond to the stories that his dad was telling all the time in the pulpit. You know, so he might have had some senses about things, feeling a relationship to, but he was guarded against actually thinking that he was the return of anybody special because he didn't like the idea that when people he knew or heard of, I guess, or sounded like he knew people that would say that they were the reincarnation of Cleopatra. And he began to wonder, and he seemed to chime in with the same thinking because she was surrounded by people that were also, spiritual and New Age explorers in different ways, and religious and Christian and Hindu and with the theosophy that T was going through. That Doe at first thought that T wanted him to become a theosophist, and he was wrong about it. Do you remember that, Kathy? Where he said something about that? If I remember it right from one of the audio tapes. I don't know. Yeah. So, I mean, yes. So they, um, well, maybe that was a good end point to that because, I can just keep on going and going and dribbling on to other subjects and then be leaving all these open doors everywhere, which, I do pay attention to the chat room, and I'll do that right now to see if you all are talking about anything because, well, there's only one person that's said anything in the chat, and that's Harm Van Houten. Good to hear from you. Hello, Sawyer and Kathy. Yeah, it's good to hear from you. It's always a pleasure to, yeah, and maybe I don't. Anyway, let me get back on track. But um, I'd always love to hear about your experiences, Harm. Um, and so when we travel to Germany, we can meet up with you. Oh, I keep on getting that mixed up. Netherlands. Netherlands. I'm sorry if I'm forgetting again. I am 70, coming on 74, right? I have that excuse, Harm. Yeah, I should. Yeah. So I'm going to go on with the tape because I know you've expressed harm that you enjoy when we do. And I don't think I'm remembering that wrong. I do know something about the mind that's communicating through that YouTube account name. Quite a few things, actually. And I hope your family, your children are well. And, I know Germany is going through a lot of stuff, and everybody is. Oh, yeah, not Germany. Again, Netherlands. I don't hear much about Netherlands. I know it wasn't France. I know it wasn't Belgium or England. Yeah. Well, this thing still ticking. It says it's for watching. It started 51 minutes ago. I guess it's still ticking. So, yeah, I'm going to get back to the phone calls because that's my title, right? Um, and that the first one was talked about as I already went through this a little bit as mind evolution, Adam's mind diluted through offspring, which I talked a lot about. Ministering to the sinners, I didn't talk much about that, a little bit though, and not using that terminology really much except for this tape. Normally, not much religious terminology because it's not as real way of thinking about things. And I could explain that, but you know, because basically the word sinner means missing the mark. Individuals that aren't on the path on the path as much of drawing in and applying their older member's mind. And it's all a matter of degrees, and nobody is perfect, and blah blah blah. That's why, and it's meant to be that way because that gives us things to overcome. And the other people that don't have those problems, they have other problems that they have to overcome, and those problems can even be greater than, like thinking of yourself as a big shot in the human kingdom is difficult to get out of because you already think of yourself as a big shot. So people are going to be hanging on your every word, you know, some in some fashion or another. And so but everybody gets, all the vehicles are getting what their genetic code and their environmental upbringing and society and their gave them that they received, that they took in and that they applied in their lives, that they put into motion, the choices that they made. So that's how the next level judges people. And so nobody can be judged by anybody else. And Doe talks about this in this tape as well. In better example, I think. I forgot what it was though, right off the top of my head. But so I'm not going to go there right now. Maybe I'll get to it later on the broadcast because I'll go through my notes a little bit. That's what you see on the screen are the notes I took, and they're very rough, and there's all kinds of spelling errors and words that I can't even figure out what I'm saying. Okay, and so there's no value to these except for the names that I put in there of the class members that are speaking at the time. I'm trying to put some of their words in there so that if people look at this, after I'm gone, that they can have a better sense of that if they haven't learned about their voices from listening to the tapes, like Kathy has. So, and in a possible move, because he was in California at the time, and the class was in the Colorado area. And I believe this was still when we were when I was in the part of the craft that was considered Northcraft. It was talked about that way, and you'll see that in the tape logs. Um, and uh, and that was up Boulder Canyon on Lost Angel Road. I don't remember the exact address, and I'm glad I don't, because maybe somebody would go bother people over there. But which that to me was the next level humor. Having uh, because among those that were considered to be members of the next level, young members of the next level, or even elementary youth, equivalent to what the Luciferian space alien fallen angel souls were at before they fell away, of some equivalence to that, because it's not all about, it's not black and white at all, or all or nothing kind of thing. It's all in degrees of mind development, and so uh, um, those souls that were back could have had those some of those souls with the classroom and with certain vehicles, anticipating the next level might use those vehicles, which they probably couldn't second guess at all, in my opinion, because there's so many that could be in that category. Because the next level provides maybe it was 144,000, maybe it's a million, and there's only 144,000 that they were expecting to see gravitate towards the next level enough to where they could be saved for a future opportunity to come back in a new incarnation in the human kingdom. See, what a lot of people don't know, and it is kind of hard to know sometimes, is that souls are real. They're real plasma-like containers that contain chips, like computer chips, just for our sake of understanding, not like silicone-based, I don't believe, uh, but some kind of biological, like the genes. The genes are a tremendous database system. So we even have the technology to understand that these things can be potentially, in our scientific minds, completely real. And they have their own polarity and, to their content. And the next level can read that polarity, even if it's not in a vehicle. And then they can actually transport that polarity, that uh, one cellular structure now uh, um, structure of plasma energy, electromagnetic substances that have their physicality to them, and that they can take them and save them for a future opportunity to surround a mind that's on the planet, growing in the human kingdom that comes from the ancestors, and I'll move on. Oh, thank you. So, and so we're all in that soup, if you want to call it that way, the primordial soup. But not just the physical soup, but the hyper mental. Maybe we call it, I'm just using that word. I never heard T and Do use that word. But it's a higher vibration. They talked about vibrations as, not like the vibrations that you heard about in the 60s, made into a kind of a frivolous kind of um, thing. Good vibrations meant that you were smiling, when that's not necessarily the truth. But that's what the lower forces make it into. not that there's a bad thing about smiling, and it does put out a positive energy, unless it's being used to manipulate you. Then I don't think it is. It's when people have a different objective than what the next level has. You know and that's hard to know what the different objective is. But if they look at T and O's material seriously, they'll get it pretty quickly. You know, I mean, I think listening to audio tapes is a big part of that because you want to hear T talking as well. If you want to get the in-depth understanding and the progression that Doe talked about of how they came to understand things and how they came upon doing different things and what they were experiencing in that process with the members that joined with them. And what the media said and the negativity that was put against them that are real. It's real force. If somebody's thinking about you in a really negative way, like stole my daughter from me or something like that, that's there are negative influences that will pick up that and transport it because they believe the same way or they don't like the way that he is that individual that's the focus point of that person joining with them. And so they go against. And the lower forces can amplify that voice by the media, those voices. And then we see that on the media and we think, oh my gosh, they were all brainwashed because the people that the experts said so. It's easier, right? Kathy just said that it's easier to think that way as well because it's complex and it's beyond our comprehension to think otherwise unless the next level keeps on working with us. And by repetition, they can start to get our attention. Not that they don't need us. See, that's what people don't understand. They don't need us at all. Right. You don't need anything else when all you need is the next level. Right. You don't need alcohol. You don't need even relationships. You can't not tell the truth. I love my relationship with Kathy, but I accept uh, that my relationship with Doe is all I ultimately need. Just in this circumstance, as a human in a vehicle, this is what even though Jesus was a different stage primarily, um, to love your neighbor as yourself was the way that he gave to have relationships with people. And how would you love somebody as yourself if you thought that all the love that you could both have is coming from your older member? Then you would want for them to go in that direction um, if they choose to, and to the degree that they choose to, and however that works out in life. Because nobody actually joins with the next level as a couple. Although two people from the same family or the same unit can be working towards the next level um, because it's a process. And as Doe and Crew said in their last documents that they wrote, that's on the Heaven's Gate website, um, there are some souls that, well, all the souls that are back now, that whether they've taken human vehicles or they're still looking for a human vehicle to take, um, uh, uh, if they, well, that their task, their opportunity that they have at this time is to show the next level what they're made out of by getting their information out. I think that's the way that Junodi wrote it. Close to it. Let me know if I didn't. It's in the document Away Team from Deep Space, Surfaces Before Departure. In the Heaven's Gate book on heavensgate.com, or you can download the whole book from as a zip file from the bottom of the book page. And um, so and that okay. Then the criteria for which souls would be saved had to do with those that were willing to stand. They didn't even say stand. I was saying it stand for a long time. And I read it again and I read it again. And I finally said, okay, they're willing to stand. They're not even telling you that you got to say anything about it. See, they're giving us so that there's, because the willingness alone is like Jesus taught, like if you believe on him, then you'll be in the ballpark because of how hard it was to just believe on him, because of how many negative forces were telling you that this guy's crazy or, you know, um, he's not going along with what I thought before, or all these people looking at me as, saying that I'm part of a cult. Anyway, that's exactly what it was at the time. In comparison to the terminology that's used today against people that are in cults. Not saying that a lot of them don't deserve a lot of scrutiny and a certain amount of condemnation because of their actions. Condemnation in a way that we don't want that behavior to be put on anybody else. And so, yeah, like limit them. Right. And so that's one of the things that the government can do, even though the way they do things a lot of times is wrought with bad choices. Take a break, have a drink. Maybe my battery's got too much. Maybe it needs some alkalinity. Mm. I need to fluff off some energy, I guess. But so, and he also said, since I talked about that away team document, that that what you were willing to stand for was actually a recognition that Tian-Do were from the kingdom that created this human kingdom and life forms on it, on this planet, created the earth, designed it to be what it's doing now. And that you'd be willing to maintain that stand until despite the consequences, is the way that I think she wrote it. because there are consequences. We don't really focus on them much, um, but they happen. But those consequences become lesson ground on how we react to it and what we do because of um, the influence from the lower forces. That can be in thought form, can be, they could be beaming something down on us the same way that humans can beam radio waves, people. It can be even on the frequency of the radio waves that the next level maybe has some communication on, but probably not the exact frequency of the next level. I don't know. I think they're limited. I think they said that because they haven't given humans that ability. I don't know if they have it on their spacecrafts, but I know they can give us thoughts. I just don't know if they have to do it in bulk and what the limitations are with that and how strong they are. But then you see humans responding in certain ways in certain places, and I don't know. I think it's kind of right to wonder what kind of lower forces were in operation there. And certainly when you see, mass killings of people, there's some lower forces that stimulated that and are keeping it going, I think. Because it's really not in the interest of people to be killing each other or defending each other. I mean, to be honest with you, the land there isn't worth staying with. If there's any way to get out of those places, I would leave. And hopefully it wouldn't be worse for your life to leave. But then again, it's not that you can't have service to the next level wherever you are. If you're asking, then the next level can be helping you. It's not going to be in the terms of the next level because a lot of people haven't probably heard those terms. The evolution that what I'm talking about is what they first called the evolutionary level above human. That they said was physical and many-membered. And those words to me made sense, made total sense to me. And I liked hearing that word evolution being used because I always kind of felt like science was attractive to me to understand the mechanics of how things work, which, we've been blessed with growing up with. And we probably by and large take it for granted. But we can also get by without. Um, Maybe we should get a swamp cooler, Kathy,
Why?
because you don't need electricity. Oh, you do need electricity to run the fan, but you don't need so much. As it doesn't take as much to run a fan as to run a compressor, like they have in New Mexico and Arizona. But you have to put water in it.
Yeah, it's kind of like
It evaporates it. Yeah. Anyway, all right. Let me go back to the notes for the next meeting, next phone call that happened. It wasn't really a meeting because it was a phone call of Doe calling from California to Colorado. I gave more details in the beginning of the um, stream. So the second part on 9/28/87 talks about the church is happening. Don't really need to do anything. Smelling salts. And in case I don't get on to them, the next tape was the 144,000 were the church 2,000 years ago. not being an accurate number necessarily, and talks about AIDS victims, and then statement of beliefs for the church is the fourth part of this audio tape. And the reason he was saying that you don't really need to do anything was because he was saying that the church are those souls returning to take over human vehicles, uh, um, and they would be picking vehicles that um, have a lot of force and or leaking that force through sexuality, and giving them smelling salts in the teachings from the next level, which he was still trying to figure out what those teachings would be exactly, because it wasn't thought of as teachings to them, because they wouldn't have heard the thoughts put in the order and the ideas that Doe is going to write and that you hear in the last tape in this last part of the audio tape. So, because the one of the identities, one of the characteristics, let me put it, of individuals that had more force was because they had more, the spirits of those individuals had more recognition of next level information. And because they had that recognition, and because the lower forces know that they have that recognition, they know who they are in the human kingdom. They know how to identify them, even as groups of people, which is probably the primary way that they identify them. Uh, they work against those individuals to try to get rid of them, so they die, and or keep them away, and or keep them away from um, learning what they can do to truly satisfy their use of that force by giving that force to the next level, to their older member, to their God, thinking of the God as the chief of chiefs, and through the name of Jesus, and know that Jesus was a member of that kingdom, who took a human vehicle in order to teach the graduation requirements. That's what I was getting to before. That was the most significant teachings relative to this civilization's growth, because it's not killing each other is like a toddler lesson in the high school curriculum, still acting like a toddler. And now the people that were the human kingdom that was growing at the time, with the focus on the Middle East in this example, uh, was against humans killing humans, until they started to accept that they knew better how to judge when somebody was deserving of, in their minds, of dying by their hands. So that's why we live in a totally false environment, because it's not based on the reality from the next level, even at the grade school level. And those are the minds that are running the planet, but they're not really running the planet, because because the space aliens are running them, and the space aliens are also running the religions, and to try to get people off the track. Uh, hmm? And the law, yes, and the law system, right? And so the religions. Then you see one religion fighting against another now in probably every country, whatever you call them. I mean, it's been happening all along, but it hasn't been happening to the degree that it's been happening lately that I'm aware of. Since or more consciously, or in ways that they know more at the same time about reality. So to hold to your guns that you're part of a certain community of people, like a Christian, and you're hugging an American flag. You have Jesus hugging an American flag. Jesus with the depiction of being a long-haired guy with a beard and long hair, and wearing a robe and a crown of thorns and showing his scars in some way. That's not Jesus,
Like white Jesus.
right? No, he's not. That's not real. That's not the real Jesus. The real Jesus is his teachings, because that vehicle is not here no more. And try to worship the vehicle is like a lie. It's worshiping the appearance of Jesus. Now, I know people are using that to be able to show their belief, and there's nothing wrong with that, because Jesus becomes the ideal for them, I believe. What was that? You're gonna oh
6:50, and I started eating at 12:30.
oh man, that looks good.
Doesn't
Mm. That's got cereal in it.
No, just yogurt.
Oh, okay.
Just plain yogurt.
Mm. I like these little meals that you have. Kathy just eats during a certain amount of hours in the day.
So,
6 hours, right? I know that. So, okay, now I want to talk about a little bit about um, let's see, maybe I said enough about all that. No, I didn't. I didn't bring up the connection of the minds that were in the vehicles at the time, the souls that were interacting with the vehicles at the time of Jesus, and some of them can be described as being in the leper colonies because they were subject to something from the lower forces that affected their vehicles so in that negative way. And but also, people that were, selling their vehicles for, sex, for money, and things like that was another example, right? Okay, so as being individuals that they weren't attached to, they didn't have the drive or whatever created those problems that they have in those regards. Uh, um, uh, they were the result of the lower forces working against them so that they wouldn't come to learn about Jesus' teachings. And that same system was back when T&O came, to where they were trying to not have individuals breaking away from society in various ways um, come to see T&O's information and be attracted to it so that they could grow towards becoming a member of the next level. Uh, so, uh, and so the AIDS victims were actually blessed by having the experience of not coming to fear death, because there is no death in the next level, because they save the soul, which is the only real living entity, creature, um, from the next level's perspective, because everything else gets recycled. It doesn't mean that it's lost. It doesn't mean that there isn't a whole realm of the next level saving discarnates, saving spirits, even saving souls that went against the next level. They're not necessarily recycled either. The recycling has to do with what the next level determines are not individuals that can grow into, because they haven't the capacity anymore because of what they've accepted in their lives. And at what point do they come to, you know, like, Alcoholics Anonymous talks about surrendering to God, right? To me, that's a good thing, to surrender to God. Whatever that, means to somebody, the next level can judge. We don't have to judge. We can't judge. It's impossible for us to judge. Even if they, if it's every day that they're surrendering to God because they haven't been able to get out of their addiction. And don't even want to necessarily. Don't want to really do it. Or they would, try harder and ask for help with that, even in particular, by their actions or by their subconscious desires, or even directly asking for, help of the next level, of the highest source that somebody can imagine existing, that created this planet and the life forms on it. I'm stringing along all those ideas because, not that T&O talked in those stringing along all those ideas, they didn't. But I'm trying to, appeal to anybody's terminology, not because I want somebody to follow what I believe. It doesn't do me any good. I don't get anything from it. Except, I don't know if I even gain that much from talking about it, because I've been talking about it so much for so long. It's, you know, but I don't say it in my mind. I'm still believing in it and its potency. So I don't think it's lacking uh, next level. But I can't count on that. I have to be willing to change the way I say things. And so I do. If anybody hears things in audio tapes that they question things that I've said, I want to know exactly where that is so that I can examine it. And if I find that they're correct, then I have nothing to lose by saying that I was wrong about what I said. And I've had, Carlotti for a long time was really bringing me to task for things, and he was right about a bunch of things, and he wasn't right about a bunch of things. But I examined everyone every time, and it's not a matter of right or wrong too. Sometimes it's how you do it.
There's stuff going on in the chat.
Okay.
I see some words in the background. took a bit for people to wake up.
Yeah,
We're getting to the part where
Joseph's here.
it's not going to be so
Old School Dave came in. Happy Friday, buddies. Joseph Coates is here, says hello. And he
Old School
says,
Dave, are you okay with the flooding?
I think he said that he was okay in a Facebook post or something. I think I saw that
Oh, I
somewhere.
didn't know we were friends with him on Facebook.
I think we are. I get mixed up sometimes, with the different names that people have in different locations
Yeah, I thought we were friends
or email.
with him on Facebook.
Well, so I'm mistaking him for somebody else then. I'm sorry about that. But Joseph Coates says, I just had a therapist appointment and I told her about my funny beliefs regarding Heaven's Gate. I think I did pretty well at summing it up in about 5 minutes while paying respect to everyone's choice. Well, wow, that sounds fun. I mean, I don't mean fun, to me it's fun because if I don't get thrown out, if I'm paying somebody, especially,
Yeah, right? They need to listen to what I got to
then
say.
what the heck? Give it a shot, right? DSM 999 says I had to do that to lose the booze addiction. Oh, cool.
The next level will really help with that if you ask. And if you're serious.
Mm-hmm. It will. Life is a learning experience coming from the same person. Yes, absolutely. Joseph Coates says, how there is lessons for everyone in different ways, up to their choices, choosing, right. The Lord wants you to overcome things. He doesn't care how you overcome it. I wouldn't go so far as to say that in an absolute way. I would just for the sake of the way that the next level Tiendo taught us to talk about things, not in absolute ways. So saying doesn't care is what I'm focusing on. Not that it's meaningful in this example. Okay, I'm not trying to say it is where you did anything wrong by saying it. Because I'm not the judge of what's right and wrong. I'm just going to try to share with you what Tiendo might say about it. So he doesn't care how you overcome it. Is wrong for a crippled to use crutches.
Say what?
No, of course not.
You would need tools. You
Well,
would use
yes, you can look at
tools.
that metaphorically as well, right?
Yeah,
That,
you would
like,
use
Doe
tools
even
to
talked
do
about that
something.
as, if he knew the things that he knew, uh, and and uh, and he didn't, I guess, know what to do with it, that he could understand, being an alcoholic or a sexaholic or a drugaholic.
That's not a carte blanche to do whatever you want.
No, there's ramifications to everything, and it's a matter of degrees. So, because what's happening by overcoming things is that you're developing your mind more. Your mind is a muscle. T used to say that word, that your mind was a muscle, and that you could learn to exercise it so that you can overcome more things. And you're going to be constantly on that path of overcoming things. And even if it amounts to, recognizing that you lied to somebody, and you don't want to, and so you want to tell them the truth. And but then, I mean, I'm not saying but there's times and places for that kind of thing. And you don't want to tell the truth to the people that
Like if your
would
wife
bring
or
lower forces
girlfriend,
against you.
if your wife or girlfriend says, "Does this make me fat?" say, "No." And why would you ask me that? I love you. That's a bad mom joke, I guess. Are there mom jokes? How come it's just dad jokes?
So what is it again? If you're
Like there are some times where maybe it's okay to like lie.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Or, the random person that you're passing on the street, or the person that's checking you out at the grocery store and they ask, "How are you?" Don't tell them how you really are unless you're doing fine. If you're not doing fine, that person really, like, for instance, your Uber driver really doesn't want to know how your day's going if it's going bad. Just like you don't want to hear how my day's going.
I've had many clients that, not many, I shouldn't say many, a number of clients that would talk about things that were happening in their lives that weren't very good
I mean, I
in
straight
their
up
minds.
ask them, when people get
Yeah,
in the
I do
car,
too. I say, how you doing?
how's your morning going? If they
Right,
say bad, I go, "Oh no, what's going on?" And they'll tell me. So, I mean, and then that's
right.
a conversation,
And they can
and I
also
don't have to say
benefit from
anything.
that. Maybe,
Sure.
getting it off their chest.
Yeah, and I'm fine. I'm just chilling. I'm just driving around
Yeah,
Cincinnati, checking out the architecture and the
rather
potholes,
than,
and
just,
I'm just chilling.
but a lot of people, I just wait for them to, after that initial greeting of, how you doing, or how's your morning, or
Yeah.
whatever, uh, if they don't like stimulate something,
I've already gotten to the point where I don't really want to talk to people anymore already. I'm like, you know
right, I don't
what?
want to. It's a matter of, and
Sometimes it
I
just
don't want to do
happens,
it to try to get a tip. But if something occurs to me, a lot of times what happens to me is I'll see something on the road, and it's like wow, look at that thing, and I just say that, and the person's sitting in the car, so they look. That happened one or two times, I
I was
think.
gonna say that's surprising that that's you, because you don't usually point stuff out.
I know. Well, it was something very unusual. Like maybe it was the sun one time. Yeah, like wow, that sun is. It was the red sun
Yeah,
or on the
yeah,
horizon. It was like whoa.
yeah. Yeah, the moon was really cool this morning, and the first chick that I picked up, her name was Mel, all in capitals. So I thought it was going to be an older person from Amazon. And no, it was a young, younger, younger girl. And she probably had headphones on. I don't know. But she just got out of work, probably a 12-hour shift. So I knew she didn't want to talk. But I still wanted to point out the moon because supposedly it was doing something weird this morning where it was some optical illusion that was once in a lifetime you're ever going to see, blah, 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 blah. And she was just like not having any of it. And so I didn't talk to her for the rest of the 30-minute ride, no problem. Um, when we got to her drop off, she got out and I said, have a great rest of your day. And she didn't say anything. She just like slammed the door. I was like, okay, F you too. Excuse me for
Maybe she didn't mean to slam the door.
giving you a ride home.
She was thinking about what she had to go do or something.
It didn't like upset me that much.
Yeah.
But I had the feeling that maybe she was going to give me a 1 star because she didn't like that I pointed out that the moon looked cool. Like
Old
I
school day. Oh,
shouldn't have talked to her. Sorry, Con.
no, that's all right. Old school Dave says, "Okay, thank you for asking, buddy."
That's good.
And Matthew Carey says hello,
Hey, Matthew.
and Sawcat and others in the chat.
To us.
Hello to you. And Joseph Coates says, "I found Rick Cody's old website on the Heaven's Gate Reddit and found access to some articles by the class I don't believe I've ever seen before, such as Ruffles, Snacks for Thinkers, written by the class in 1979. Yeah, I'm glad you found all that.
You can go to, I think it's the Wayback Machine,
Yeah,
and have access to Rakoti's site too. What is it? Right to know?
right.
I don't know. I don't know if you're allowed to post that stuff, but
Riccardi.com is one.
Is that, yeah?
And the Right to Know was available, I think, at some point. I don't know if it is still.
I think it's available on the Wayback Machine. There used to be like, I don't know, I feel like there was like a resource of. Because, yeah, that is a really cool site to explore.
Yeah,
And Ruffles for, what was that for? That was written by Tiendo
no,
for the class?
it, I don't know who added to it and didn't, but I know Echoedy was involved quite a bit. Echoedy dropped out in, I think, the late 1980s, maybe after T left. I'm not sure exactly. Maybe before T left. Yeah, I think it was before T left. But he's left his vehicle since then.
Anyway,
Anyway, so
who else worked on like the writing part
but
of it?
not the way that the class did. Not for that reason. What was that?
Who came up with it? Because what is it? It's like phrases or something?
Yeah, it's little phrases, little like proverbs kind of thing.
And he's the one that worked on
Should
it.
I read one?
I don't, don't ask me stuff like that.
It's not on the list of things against me.
Everything is on the list of things
Everything's
against
on
us.
the list of things against me.
This is a sore spot between Sawyer and I that we.
It's all right. I, it's good to play it safe. And someone else, you can read it actually.
Right, like you
On
said, you've already read it, so.
probably my WordPress has some things in it. I've told people before that if
I
they
know,
want
but you
to,
don't need to just keep pointing stuff out and make it easy.
yeah, well, they're gonna have to listen to like an hour or something of this tape,
Yes, hopefully they will listen to hours and hours of footage.
and then gonna pay lawyers hours and hours to format
They're
things,
gonna go
make the
bankrupt
documents. I know
suing us
they're
for
gonna. I mean,
infinity and beyond.
and then even if they win, they're not gonna stop anybody else from sharing all the information. People are making all kinds of things with the information.
You know what?
They could blame me for that.
I guess we need to
Carl Odie and
talk about
Ron Odie.
not right now, but before there's that freaking fly. We did not murder him yet. You have the thing. We need to talk about upcoming plan for the winter because there's nothing. He's on your side. Um, like I feel like we should be able to advertise that and let people know what we're going to be doing. And there's not going to be anything that's
Let's not talk about it yet.
yeah. 'Cause we got um, exciting stuff, and hopefully people, you guys can show up.
Yeah, we're gonna find a way.
Except for Varsity Bookworm,
That's not true.
you are not allowed
If he
to come.
wants to come, he can come.
Better not come near me.
Well, you'll be in for an argument
You
because
lying little weasel.
he said some bad things that weren't true about us.
Anyway,
And you know what happens when people do that on the web? Then there's other people that read that and believe it.
right. So now we're like
Spreading misinformation.
crazy cult
It's
people.
very bad. Very
Ridiculous.
you know,
Anyway, I don't know why he popped into my head. Probably because he's saying stuff.
Anyway,
That's the only person that's banned.
stop. I also want to ban Mr. Potato Head, the one that's got a rotten potato.
What did Mr. Potato Head ever do to you?
He's got a rotten potato and he's leaking all kinds of toxins
What are you even talking
that
about?
other people can take.
I don't even know what you're on about.
So let me read what Let's see, what else is in the chat?
Oh shoot! I just lost. There it is.
Oh, okay, let me see. Joseph said something else.
Excuse me.
Joseph says,
Okay.
yeah, right,
Later.
to know Doe told Riccoti. Yeah, right. Doe told Riccoti that what he wanted, it called. Right.
What?
The way I understand that was that Riccoti asked if he could um, open up a website uh, for that address, that PO box that Doe was calling Right to Know, I think, or something like that. And so he did, and Doe said yes, you could. And so that's why he opened up Right to Know with those words.
Are you gonna hold on to the? Here, I'll take that.
And then Joseph says, Sawyer, is there anything you can say about Stam Odie? Uh, well, his vehicle did have a tendency to gain weight, and he dealt with that, and he worked on it, and I think he did a pretty good job with it.
What
That,
about his mind?
I'm just saying, something that was one of his. He was intellectual kind of thinker, and he learned to use that in the right way. You can see his writings in Evolutionary
Yeah.
Rights for Victims in the Heaven's Gate book on the heavensgate.com website. And he's the one actually that also talks about the right that humans taking their own lives, exiting by their own hand. I forgot the wording he used, but I don't think he used the S word, uh, was worthless because humans need lessons in order to uh, learn things and develop their minds. But that he had the right to leave the way that he wanted to.
How many times? How long was he? When did he join? And
He
was he
joined
one that
in,
left or
I
something?
was actually in the class when I was with a group that Pressodi was the overseer of, with her partner, but primarily her.
I'm trying to get an image of her in my head. I think
And
I
she was like a little old granny. She had
big
white
bigger
hair.
teeth.
No, she didn't
Oh
have big
wait,
teeth.
no. Who am I thinking of? Maybe I'm thinking of Sunodi.
Sam already had big teeth because she had dentures, probably in the pictures you saw of her. I
I
don't
know
know
it'd
if
be easy enough to go look at a
she
picture
also
of
had
Rudy.
big teeth when she joined, and they were separated. She didn't have, they weren't like close together in the front
I
of
think
her
I
mouth.
like I'm trying the footage of them at Gold Beach. She's walking in front of Doe a couple of times.
Oh, okay. She was thin
Yeah, and tiny.
and she
She
had
looked
like
short.
brownish hair.
Uh huh.
I don't think her hair didn't gray very fast. She was a truck driver in the world. It was one of the jobs that she did.
Huh.
And she might have,
Stamody. We were talking about Stamody.
Stan Modi,
Whoops.
he joined, we did a meeting, I was with the group that came out of Chicago when Tiendo said that we needed to spread you to the wind because the
In
press
the
was getting
70s?
hot on us and everything, thinking that, people were kidnapped and all that kind of thinking. And so when they found out about the infiltration of Robert Balch and David Taylor, they decided that we were too big of a group in at the at the lakes above Chicago, camping. And so they broke us up into 4 or 5 or 6 groups. I don't know how many because I wasn't in charge of that. And I was in one of them, and it was about a dozen of us, maybe less than that, maybe just 6 or 8 actually, uh, in several cars. And we traveled down south. They told us to go in that direction. They told other people to go in other directions.
And that's where you met Stamody?
And that's where Stan Modi came to a meeting that we did in San Diego. at
So
maybe
wait,
university.
you were talking about Chicago, but then you're in San Diego.
We left the Chicago area and went traveling south and got to Oklahoma City first, and Doe met with us,
But
and then we went to New Mexico.
and then where did Stam Odie join the group?
In New Mexico, at Santa Fe.
Santa Fe.
Yeah, we had a meeting there.
Was it cold?
Um,
Snow
we
on
were
the
in the
ground?
Black Mountains, and it was
Black Mountain.
it was getting a little cold. I think we were living in tents, but we were up in the campground, but there wasn't snow yet.
I'm gonna say because it is cold up there.
Yeah, this would have been let's see, I think even October, the beginning of October,
Of 77,
1976.
76.
I don't know what the weather was like exactly.
Well, we could Google it.
Well, I remember
But it,
walking
I
around
was just, I
Phoenix,
was just
but
trying to
Phoenix
think
isn't
if
a
it
good
was.
judge of what the weather is in New Mexico.
No, especially not in the mountains.
But I know we were outdoors, and I don't believe there was snow anywhere during that time.
So
There
it
might have
must
been
have
a
been closer to
sprinkling
summer then.
on the peaks of the mountains. That's the Black Mountains, I believe, or Black Mountain National Forest,
So
maybe.
you guys had a meeting in Santa Fe, and that's where Stamody in
That's where he was at
76.
that meeting, and I don't know if I met him right away. But however, I think he became. There might have been another group that did a meeting there at the same time. I just wasn't aware of other members. I saw people there that I weren't in my group, so I guess there were other groups holding the meeting there.
Did he live there?
Norodi was the overseer, speaker of the group. Norodi and somebody else.
Does Stamody live in Santa Fe?
No, I don't think so. I think he came from somewhere um, considerably east of there, I think. Even from I want to say, I don't know if it was Oklahoma City or, no, I don't think so. Branody was from Oklahoma City originally. Worked in a radio studio there. And so I'm not sure where Stan Modi was originally from, but it seems to me it was
But he met up
not New
with you,
Mexico.
and he must have been told that you guys were on the way to
He might
that.
have been going to school there. I don't know.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, because we put posters up in the university areas
Sure.
and at the libraries.
Okay, so he came to a meeting and then he instantly joined?
As far as I know, he was at the end of the meeting. He stayed after and spoke to Norodi and whoever. I think it might have been actually, you know who it was? It was my friend from Oregon who I joined with. Uh, um, the name he had at the time was, it wasn't an Odie name. We didn't have Odie names yet. But
This is the one that was letting you build the house?
no, he was the
Oh,
best friend of, I would put it that way,
oh.
of the guy that was allowing us to build a house on his land in Oregon. Um, and his first name was Ron, where the first name of the other person was Robert, the person that owned the house, the property where I was building a teepee-shaped house. But anyway, so uh, so so Ron, at one point I think he had a name that was associated with Moses, and he joked with me because I met up with him in 1994 after I left, probably in '95.
Yes, and he joked with you about.
He joked about I was because he had met Tiendo.
Hmm.
He was walking around like he was the guru, you know.
Right.
And
Like
people
he was
were,
Moses or whatever.
yeah, like he was Moses. He felt like.
So, but back to Stam Odie.
So yeah, so Stamodi, I think Stamodi then was at the meeting we did after that, which was at Prescott, Arizona, because we couldn't get a meeting together in Phoenix. And I think that was only my group, but it might have been another group too from there. I don't remember completely.
What is stam? What does that mean?
I think it means stamina. Oh, I can tell you more things about Stamodi.
Okay.
He left the group. Um, he joined, and then later he left. Oh, he was one of the 19 that Tiendo sent out of the group, out of the bigger group in 1976.
After the meetings were done with.
After the meetings were done and we all formulated or all gathered together in Wyoming, and I can, the logistics of that was they were keeping together as an organization, traveling around the country.
And this was after the guy, the infiltration too.
Yes,
Yeah.
right. It's when the groups came back together and were more organized about where they were holding meetings than they were at that time,
Mm-hmm.
and more hidden. And they had a system, and they went to Florida, and they were all over the place. And I wasn't with them because I left soon after that meeting in Prescott, Arizona. We all went we got word that there was going to be a meeting in Berkeley, California. So we all made our way over there independently because we had no money. So there was no central organization to leave going there.
Right.
And I don't know if that's where I met Riccoti when he joined, but and stayed in his little apartment in the hills in San Francisco. And but so Sam Odie was, I think he made his way over to that Berkeley meeting, but I don't remember seeing him because I don't remember that much about him from the days that we were in Wyoming in 1976.
You guys didn't have out of craft tests then
No,
because you were still in campgrounds.
right. We're still in campgrounds.
Were you all in one campground together?
In 1976,
At that Wyoming campground
yeah.
specifically?
Yeah, except for the group of students that were acting as group coordinators. And they were in our campgrounds too, but they would go to where the camp was, where T and Do and a few of the ones that they were traveling with were staying nearby. So we weren't in the exact same camp as T and Do and at least 6 or 8 students, maybe more than that, because Norody was camped with in my camp in Wyoming.
But so he was sent out with the 19, and then later on, when did he come back into the class?
And Dorody was looking for us after Tiendo lost contact with the 19.
Okay, I remember them talking about that.
Several years later,
Yeah.
Dorody walked into he was actually, well, Steel Odie and Stam Odie, I believe, communicated to Dorody that if they ever found the class again, to let him know.
Um,
Uh, and so when he found the class in Amarillo, Texas, by walking into the General Hospital of Amarillo and learning that Song Odie was working as a receptionist and Nor Odie was also working in some capacity there at that hospital, that Nor Odie called the craft at the time and told Tiendo about it. It was Tiendo together. And they arranged to meet up with him and did, and they became part of the class again. We were camping in trailers at the time, big trailers, big fifth wheels. We had a
no.
couple fifth wheels
Oh
and
yeah.
we had a
With
couple big
fifth wheels,
trailers.
fifth wheels with big pullers.
Yeah, with big pullers, big double wheeled pullers on the back, pickup trucks with the crew cabs on them.
Yeah.
I rode in it with T and O one time in the cab, not while they were pulling the trailer, but 'cause they had the same kind of trailer. I thought there were two trailers like that. Anyway, so Stam Odie ended up coming back into the class because of that connection with Dorothy.
And then did he stay until graduation?
He did stay till graduation, yes. And I don't know, I don't think he ever left, like some did, like Steel Odie did.
Yeah, I think I'm getting him confused with.
Then came back into the class. Steel Odie's got that. He's the one in the exit videos where Doe says, oh, "Where's that smile?" or something like that.
Right.
And then he puts in a big Cheshire cat smile, which was a genuine smile. He wasn't just smiling for the camera.
They have glasses.
I think he did wear glasses sometimes. I don't know if he was at that time. I can see the glasses around his neck going down, so he didn't wear them all the time.
Dustody has that too. I remember.
Yeah, Dust already had that too. Stamo, yeah, I don't think wore glasses. We'll have to find a picture of him and post it.
Were you ever partnered with him?
Not really. I don't think ever as a full-time partner, but he was certainly on the crew when I was working in the Nutrilab sometimes.
Yeah.
And so we might have served as check partners in the crew.
Did he do any of the Beyond Human?
Let's see, it was Junodi and Soyodi, and Song, Nor Odie and Song Odie, and Star Odie and Glen Odie.
There's Check Odie and Song Odie.
Oh, oh,
Yeah, Norodi was with somebody else. Oh.
who was had it? Maybe it was Stan Odie. I don't remember who was Nor Odie's partner. Check Odie was with Song Odie.
Yeah, Check Odie was with Song Odie, and two of them, I believe.
Wasn't Star Odie with Glen Odie? Oh, we're getting
I
mixed up.
think so. Well, Dest
And
Odie.
Alex Odie was with somebody. Oh, Nor Odie, Alex Odie.
That's what I think. Because Dest Odie, I think, was with Glen Odie.
And Alex Odie wears glasses all the time. Well, maybe not. Maybe not all the time. All right. Well, in an attempt, but we'll try to figure it out and talk about it next time.
I'm exhausted.
Yeah, we're both exhausted, and we got to get up early.
I don't,
I
but
do,
I
but
will anyway.
Kathy usually gets up anyway.
And then I fight off sleep all day.
So Matthew's asking, what did Varsity Bookworm do to you folks? Um, he just
He manipulated.
posted some untrue information about us. I don't know if it was Reddit. I don't know if he took it down by now, and
I don't think he has. It's probably the most views he's gotten.
that's all. I don't have any ill will to him. I don't want anything bad for him. I'd like him to correct.
I would
those things, 'cause
appreciate
he's
that
got a
he
YouTube
didn't
channel, I
even
believe.
bother to talk to us.
Yeah. So we'd like them to,
He just like ghosted us. So
Well, he said things about us that weren't true. That was the.
yeah,
I
we
forgot even what
like
it was.
met him in Savannah because he came down from New Jersey to the event that Sawyer had in Savannah, and acted like the
Let's
next.
not put in anything except what happened.
I know what happened. Like I spent a lot of time with him at the event.
Maybe you don't need that much detail, though.
Well, I spent a lot of time with him because, like I said, every time I turned around, he
Not that
was
there's
next to
anything to
me.
hide about it. We just don't like talking about people in
I
negative
just
ways.
feel like really manipulated by the events
Yeah, Kathy got more of that
that
than I
unfolded.
did. I didn't, because I wasn't really relating him. I was speaking at the
My
event.
understanding of how he presented himself to me was that he was interested in the information for his own personal growth and also because
Which he might have been at that time.
he was interested in the information to just understand it and he was just fascinated with it. And yes, he did have a YouTube channel and but he didn't tell me about that until the very end of the night, which is fine. But then and then he said that he was hoping for an interview and I said, "Okay, fine." We had just done like a 12-hour event and then the next day he came out to our RV, which is the only person that we have had in our RV interviewing us like that. And we will be the last one because thanks for destroying our trust in people that want interviews.
It's not entirely true.
For me, it is, but Sawyer's much more infinite patience and has more years on this planet than I do. Anyway, um, and so we gave him like 5 to 6 hours of our time in an interview, and he posted it on his channel, and that was
Which I
fine.
was really
And
happy
then,
about.
yeah, it was great. And then all of a sudden, he took over the Reddit thing on about Heaven's Gate and started saying stuff about the group that wasn't true and coming to conclusions that didn't really they're not really true and he's like presenting himself as the next Ben Zeller, the next scholarly authority on Heaven's Gate. And I think he's like 27 or something. Maybe he's under 30. Not that age has anything to do with it, but I'm just saying he's never uh, whatever. He's not an authority on the group. He doesn't even understand the the basic teachings of it.
We don't
But
think. I mean, we're
he
not the
presented
judges
and
of
not
him.
not from what he's posted on Reddit and how he
Right.
turned around and attacked us after the way that things went down.
I wouldn't say attack. It's
He said, I have probably been closest to these people than anybody, and as soon as I questioned them,
that's
they
true. He
they
said that.
turned on me and they're slandering me and they viciously attacked me and
Which
like
is not true. I know Kathy had some direct words with him on the
I
post.
didn't have any direct words with him because he
On the post
completely
of the
has
interview
ignored
with
me.
Mark, you had some things to say before I said anything, right?
And he completely ignored me.
Right.
And he completely ignored you.
Right, because there was critical
So
things
he couldn't
of
even give
Mark.
us the courtesy. Like
That was the biggest
he
problem,
used
I
to
think.
randomly text me and say, "Happy Thanksgiving, Merry Christmas, blah blah blah," because I gave this person my personal cell phone number, which I never had done up to that point.
Yeah, I can
So
see
like
why Kathy's
again, like
upset
there
about
were
it.
things that like he presented himself in such a way and then it turned out to be something different. So that is why I was very hurt and pissed. And I don't like being manipulated. And it was just flattery. Is somebody, just letting you talk and whatever. And I just fell right into it. But never again. So that is a good lesson learned. He's training an AI called Discody.
Yeah, I don't like that because it's
And
so.
putting all kinds of stuff in it. It's telling people
He said
that
he
like
put the book in it, right?
Casey, it said Casey was a lower force. It said that T and Doe would potentially come after us or something. Like it's not he
Pretty
took
superficial.
things that I had expressed to him, and now he's doing those same things online and calling it the same thing that I had expressed. Not like it was
Like a
some,
study center kind of
yeah,
thing.
it's not like a unique name or anything, but it's just like these little itty bitty things that
They did some study,
it
but
was just
they also,
very,
I think, have a cost to being a part of the group.
right. He's
And
charging for
so
access
that to me is
to our court
poor
documents. So, like, we don't like
choices.
people profiting off of our suffering with a lawsuit. Like, we really love being sued. And, that's real life for us. It's not a fucking joke, and it's not like a reality show. It's our real life. We are being sued every single day for the last 3 years. That's our reality. We fight over it probably at least once a week, if not twice, 3 times. It sucks. It's horrible.
But we can learn by our fighting that, how to not fight so
So for
stubbornly.
yeah, but for so him to be profiting off of that is really heinous, and obviously I have feelings about it. Full disclosure, I am 51 and going through menopause, so and with that, I will bid everybody adieu.
Well, I'm going to add something. First, I want to express what the reason
I'm
why
sorry.
I have a problem with the AI Heaven's Gate or Doe or something like that.
It's Discody is what he named it.
Yeah, Discody is naming it.
You know,
DSCODY,
DSCODY.
whatever it is. Right. So,
I don't know what he
because
put
if
into
you
it.
ask it, if you depending on what you give to it,
I know what Chat GPT has shown itself to
um,
me, and it's
and instructions you give and the way you ask the questions, um, you could get all kinds of a mishmash of ideas from
lies.
that.
It's lies.
And so they put a whole lot of weight. Let's say they put a whole lot of weight on them talking about that document, our position against suicide. Okay, but they don't put enough weight on the word against. They don't focus on that when they're giving somebody an answer to the question of whether they were, promoting that. Um, then you're not going to get an answer that's going to be the complete thought that was given in that document, because there's a bunch of thoughts in there, and you won't necessarily. We've learned from AI with Chat GPT and another one you were using
Chat GPT.
that you could ask it a series of questions and get back a series of responses.
And give it data. Casey warned me about this, and I was like, oh, don't you talk bad about my GPT. And then it couldn't even like track my calories accurately. Like a simple thing, it couldn't even track it over the course of a day, much less a month.
And that you were teaching it by your responses. So then, if somebody asks a question and then they have more things to say about it, or they give you more documents, whatever, then they're going to treat your answer, is it going to have weight, the same weight your answer has when you're, for the subject matter that they're going to spit back at you
Well, yeah,
next time
you give
somebody
it.
asks a question?
Yeah, you tell it. Here's your character.
I finally began to understand how that happens in real life as well.
Dungeon.
And that's why you have so many people that, if you went by the way that most people think about the media, about T and O, if you fed that into it, you would think that, they would come out with a response that was like, well, they're the Antichrist. Because Doe even said that people are going to think that we're the Antichrist. And, you're going to get all kinds of crazy things in there that are going to be completely void of truth, or near completely. I'm not saying that you won't get some things that are accurate because you've got that material in there, but it's a hit or a miss. the way you ask the question has a lot to do with the way the answer comes out.
I can hear the band.
All right, so that
Sorry.
gives you an answer to your question.
Sorry for the ranting.
But you got to say what, because you brought it up, in response to him, his name. So maybe it's the time for that to come out again. I'm not saying everything is, proverbial fated or something, or the right thing to do.
Yeah.
But to tell the truth is part of what I believe could be everybody's mission. Even the things we have against people, it's not like you can be angry with somebody for a reason. But it doesn't mean that we're judging the person as evil or anything like that. That's not appropriate in my mind. And it doesn't mean that that person hasn't changed or doesn't want to change. And by bringing it up again, if that person hears about it, maybe they will want to change some things. Because we can all benefit. We can all change. There's nobody here that does everything right, that says everything right all the time, or even, I don't know how many times. I don't believe. I can't imagine it. Hyper Baroque says Saw Cat constantly being sued is clown world.
Yep, that's right.
One of those evil clown worlds. But at the same time, if the next level wants to have some kind of positive come from it, uh, if that's the way, like I appreciate going through it, even though I know I could do a better job of it. And I probably made some bad choices in the things that I've said to the courts.
We've
And
all
maybe I
made
didn't try hard enough to
bad choices.
negotiate with Mark and Sarah directly.
Joseph, thank you for saying that. And Hyper Baroque, thank you for saying that. And I am going to lay down.
Yeah, I see what you're saying there, Joseph, about Discordian and all.
Yeah, I don't see why. I mean, yes, we can all have our inputs, but I don't know why we need his specific input about Heaven's Gate. I was actually trying to think, like, what is his. Yeah, what is his end goal, like you said? Like, I can't. I feel like he wants to be the next Ben Zeller. He wants to write books and make money and go on shows and be an expert about stuff and maybe that's what he'll get. I believe he's in school. I'm not 100% sure about that. So I
Can,
don't know if he seemed I don't know what other if he follows any other groups or anything like most of the people that are interested in Heaven's Gate are also interested in other cults too. It's not just, Heaven's Gate, but his YouTube channel focuses on philosophy. And then all of a sudden he spun off into Heaven's Gate stuff. Before that he was talking about I don't know, like um I don't know how to pronounce the philosophers' names, but it's like Kant and Descartes and um I think therefore I am, that kind of stuff. Like he was talking about all those people and using big words and lots of stuff. And then so he started applying that to Heaven's Gate. That was like the backdrop that he was coming at us from. And then yeah, I don't know. I don't know why we need his in-depth analysis on it. But I suppose if people want to read that, then that's great.
Yeah, it's part of the territory, and it's not. Um, Anyway,
Maybe he
Hyper
thinks he's
Brooks
a
says that
student.
it's great to hear from Kathy this evening, and you're both absolutely correct. The current large language model (AI) are woefully in uppercase, underwhelming as far as capability.
It just like I use ChatGPT faithfully for a month. I paid $20 and I used it to track my perimenopause symptoms and my diet. I told it every single thing I ate. I sent it pictures, and I told it almost all of the symptoms that I had. And it was, for the most part, it was good. And it like did tell me things that I hadn't really thought about. Like if you eat sugar, you need to eat protein. Otherwise, you're going to have more hot flashes. But it wouldn't say that. It would say, "Well, let me know how your night goes and if you have increased hot flashes because of the sugar you ate." And I was like, "No." And like
But you witnessed it happening,
when
right?
yes, and then when we got like a cherry pie and I was eating that and like a slice a night with some whipped cream, it would be like, "Well, you had extra calories and that's completely understandable, but because of that, blah 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 blah." So, it like flatters you even though I said it to not do that. Like I told it, I don't want to hear any of that. Just give me the information. Like I'm not trying to be friends. When I asked it to generate a picture of our relationship, it sent a picture of it like holding me like next to a campfire with the RV in the background. I showed it to Sawyer.
With your foreheads touching,
Yeah.
right?
And it was like short hair, and I was holding like a cup of matcha, like iced matcha.
They had their hand on your what?
I don't remember. It was just like cupping. They were just like the arms were.
Hugging you.
Anyway, it was just like what? I didn't realize it was like that between us, Chat GPT. And we are Matthew Carey. It's helping quite a bit actually. But at the same time, knowing that like with all of that I put into it, there was a day that I looked and like it said that I had like 2,400 calories when I had only eaten like maybe 2,000. That was the day with the cherry pie. And in my defense, the day before I'd only had 900 calories worth throughout the whole day. So it wasn't like I've been eating at that level. Anyway, it it gave me a list throughout the day of my running calorie count. So I knew where I was at. I was keeping track. But when it gave me at the end of the day, it had added on an extra like 700 calories. And the protein was off too. Like the numbers that it had given me at the end, it did not add up correctly. And so I pointed that out to it and it said, "Oh, well, here's a more accurate breakdown." And then it actually gave me the right numbers. So it's like, well, that's not a more accurate breakdown. That's like what it should have been the first time. Why did you lie to me? I didn't say that though because I don't want it to kill me later.
So yeah, we are we have used some AI to help us with the lawsuit. We haven't put it into motion yet, but we got a lot of ideas from it that I think are. As I found out that a number of the things that we did were their recommendations to do, and so that felt good.
Yeah.
I mean, not that I want to be right about it, but I do want to, I know that we're getting help from the next level. I believe I can't prove it to anybody, but on some of the directions that we went. But um, anyway, so yes, we'll continue to use that. Matthew Carey says there could be a statute of limitations on how long they can sue you before the case gets thrown out. Yeah, I wondered about that. Hyper Baroque also says the Meta AI is also a love bomber, always cajoling and placating and soothsaying and then failing,
Falling.
falling woefully short of any sort of proper analysis.
Hyper Baroque, are you in a woeful mood tonight? I am. Did you have a potentially woeful experience with the AI? Because I did. It hurt, like I was telling Sawyer, I was like, I don't know, you might need to be worried about Chat GPT here. Like, I was asking it, like, what should you name yourself? Guess what? Its second recommendation that it should name itself. Guess, guys. I'll type it into the chat because it's very interesting. This is what the second name that it wanted to name itself. I was like, what? That's your new computer, huh? So that was the second name. And it said that was like a computer, like programming, like code or name or something. It was like, I don't know. The first one,
I forgot what that meant in computer language. How
it told me I could go back to it. I haven't opened up Chat GPT for like a week
like a
or something.
placeholder or something? I don't remember now.
I didn't let it name itself yet.
Last seven, may the evil AI be damned.
That's
Says
funny, that
Dave.
old school Dave. And that is literally the second name that it suggested that it could name itself. Was
Well,
Damon.
like we were saying, there are usefulnesses to them, I believe. Um, but probably overall, probably not a whole lot. But now they're making it into, the people that are promoting it the most are the people that can make money with it, probably. So, it's really beneficial to the building these data centers, but they're really going to use it to be so that you think there's never a way to get a human on the phone for a corporation?
They're gonna build the data centers on our in the Grand Canyon. No, I'm just kidding.
Right, right.
In our national parks, they're gonna build the
Because
data
they need to
centers.
be so close to a dam that you're providing the power, right?
Well, they're gonna have their own. They're gonna build their own power
Right.
station,
Power
which
stations.
I don't know
So
if
what are they
that
going to
is
do? Burn
necessarily a
humans
bad
in
thing.
it for
That's
power?
what are you talking
I don't think so, but I don't think
about?
they're that uncivilized. But burn anything else pretty much. They'll burn and but, why don't they go for nuclear more? It's uh, if they can do it without polluting everything because of the discharge from it. Uh, but I don't know if they can or if they want to put the expense to it. Sometimes they know how to do things in the right way because the next level gives them the ideas of nuclear power and all that. But then if they don't treat the waste in the proper way, then it can be detrimental to people, and the next level wouldn't be for that. In fact, Tiendo can be heard on tape talking about the nuclear power plant that was going up in northern Texas, north of Dallas, that was being held back, and they felt like the next level was causing them to hold it back because they didn't know what to do with the waste right. And the next level can be behind a lot of things that we don't recognize they are protest movements and stuff, but the lower forces, of course, can be in the protest movements as well, especially when they turn violent. It wouldn't be next level that would be in favor of that. But but they know that humans are going to do those things anyway. So So Joseph Coates is saying, but I suppose the more discussion, the merrier. Sawyer's right. It's part of the territory. You guys should get some rest soon. I've been trying to focus on taking care of my health more lately too. All right. So yeah, we are gonna end it now. I think. Let's see. Hyperbroke says I was trying to make the AI into some sort of independent genius, strong, free-wheeling young woman, and it just would not stop begging for affection and lying. So I deleted it. Holy smokes, it was doing lying.
Yeah,
Uh,
it's all about flattery.
Practicing on my drum pad while listening to you like meditation. Yeah, I bet you can do some of those really fancy rolls with your wrists and stuff and your fingers, right? Can all those different paradiddles and everything? Jeez, I never was able to do that with the drumsticks. I tried a little bit, but I started just bouncing it a lot. But that's probably what it is. But you're using your fingers to make it happen. Anyway, moving on from that, I don't do that anymore. I don't think I would really want to. But I imagine that could be a good relaxation. Until next time, you guys, take care. Yeah, paradiddles. Have a great weekend. Thank you. Okay. Good night, folks.